My maid of honor mocked my infertility at my wedding, so I revealed her affair with my brother. 3 months later, she's jobless and living with her parents while I'm rebuilding my life. I, 32F, have been best friends with Rachel, 33F, since our freshman year of college. We met during orientation week when we were paired as roommates. I remember being so nervous about living with a stranger, but Rachel's bubbly personality instantly put me at ease. We bonded over our shared love of true crime podcasts and cheesy rom-coms. Over the years, Rachel and I became inseparable. We were there for each other through every up and down of college life. I held her hair back during her first experience with tequila shots, and she talked me through my anxiety attacks before big exams. When I started dating Arnold, 34M, in our junior year, Rachel was my biggest cheerleader. She even helped plan our first anniversary surprise. After graduation, Rachel and I both landed jobs at the same marketing firm in the city. We'd grab lunch together every day and vent about our annoying coworkers. It was during one of these lunch breaks that Rachel first introduced me to Tom, 35M. They had met at a local bar and hit it off immediately. I was thrilled to see my best friend so happy and in love. Arnold proposed to me on our 5th anniversary. Of course, Rachel was the first person I called after saying yes. She squealed so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Rachel threw herself into helping plan our wedding, insisting on handling all the little details so I wouldn't stress. On our big day, she gave the most touching maid of honor speech that had everyone in tears. A year after getting married, Arnold and I decided we were ready to start trying for a baby. We were so excited about the prospect of becoming parents. I had always dreamed of having a big family, and Arnold was amazing with kids. We naively thought it would happen quickly, but month after month passed with no positive pregnancy test. After a year of trying with no success, we decided to see a fertility specialist. That's when we got the devastating news. I had a condition that made it extremely difficult for me to conceive naturally. The doctor outlined our options, but warned us that even with interventions, our chances were slim. I was completely heartbroken. All I had ever wanted was to be a mom, and now that dream felt impossibly out of reach. Arnold was incredibly supportive, assuring me that we would figure things out together. But I fell into a deep depression, barely able to get out of bed some days. Rachel was there for me during that dark time. She would come over with ice cream and trashy magazines, trying to cheer me up. She listened patiently as I cried about how unfair it all felt. When we decided to try IVF, Rachel offered to give me the daily injections since needles made me squeamish. Our first round of IVF failed, then the second, and the third. Each negative test felt like another piece of my heart breaking. The hormones were wreaking havoc on my body and emotions. Arnold and I were struggling to stay connected as the stress of it all took its toll. Through it all, Rachel remained a constant source of support. She organized a fundraiser to help cover our mounting medical bills. When our 4th IVF cycle failed, Rachel showed up at our door with a bottle of wine and let me cry on her shoulder all night. Last year, Tom finally proposed to Rachel after 5 years together. I was over the moon for my best friend and threw myself into helping plan her dream wedding. It was a welcome distraction from my own struggles. I spent countless hours researching venues, tasting cakes, and crafting DIY decorations. As her maid of honor, I wanted everything to be absolutely perfect. The day of Rachel's wedding finally arrived last weekend. She looked stunning in her fitted lace gown as she walked down the aisle. I teared up watching her and Tom exchange vows, so happy to see my best friend find her happily ever after. The ceremony was beautiful, and everything seemed to be going wonderfully. At the reception, I gave a heartfelt speech about our years of friendship and how thrilled I was to see Rachel marry the love of her life. I talked about how she had always been there for me through thick and thin, and how lucky Tom was to have such an incredibly caring partner. After dinner, Rachel pulled me aside and said she had a special surprise announcement to make. I was excited, thinking maybe they had bought their dream house or were planning an epic honeymoon. Instead, Rachel clinked her glass to get everyone's attention and said, "I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm pregnant. And the best part is, I didn't even have to try. Sorry, Lily, guess it's just not meant to be for some people. Better luck next time." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to me. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. I couldn't believe my best friend would humiliate me like that, especially knowing how much we've struggled with infertility. Arnold immediately came to my side and started ushering me out of the room as I burst into tears. As we were leaving, I heard Rachel laughing and saying, "Oh, come on, it was just a joke. Lighten up." But it wasn't funny at all. It was cruel and insensitive, especially coming from someone who had seen firsthand how devastating our fertility journey had been. Once outside, I was sobbing uncontrollably. Arnold tried to calm me down, but I was too upset. In that moment, all I could think about was how betrayed I felt. This was the same person who had held me as I cried after failed IVF cycles. The same friend who had sworn she would be there for me no matter what. Without really thinking it through, I stormed back into the reception. Rachel was in the middle of cutting the cake with Tom when I grabbed the microphone. "I have an announcement too," I said, my voice shaking. "Rachel has been having an affair with Tom's brother Mark for the past 6 months. I caught them together, but she begged me not to tell. Well, now everyone knows what kind of person you really are, Rachel." The room erupted into chaos. Tom looked stunned while Rachel turned bright red and started screaming at me. Guests were whispering and staring in shock. Arnold quickly pulled me out of there before things could escalate further. As soon as we got home, the guilt started to set in. I knew I shouldn't have blurted out Rachel's secret like that, especially at her wedding, but I was just so hurt and angry in the moment. Arnold said I had every right to be upset, but that I probably took things too far. Rachel has been blowing up my phone with nasty messages, calling me every name in the book. Her family members are also harassing me on social media, saying I ruined the wedding. Even some of our mutual friends are taking her side, saying it was just a joke, and I overreacted. I feel absolutely awful about how everything went down. Rachel's infidelity doesn't excuse my behavior, but at the same time, I'm still really hurt by her joke about my infertility struggles. That's not something a true friend would ever mock, let alone announce to a room full of people. Part of me wonders if this incident was the final straw in a friendship that's been slowly deteriorating for years. Looking back, Rachel has made a lot of insensitive comments over time that I brushed off, like the time she told me to just relax and it'll happen when she knew we were doing IVF, or how she always downplayed my feelings when treatments failed. I've spent years supporting Rachel through all her ups and downs. I was there for her after every breakup, celebrated her job promotions, planned her birthday parties. It hurts to realize that maybe that support and loyalty was never truly reciprocated. Arnold thinks I should cut ties with Rachel completely after this. He says a real friend would never intentionally hurt me like that. But we've been best friends for so long, it's hard to imagine my life without her in it. At the same time, I don't know if I can ever forgive her for humiliating me on what was supposed to be a happy day. I'm torn between feeling justified in my anger and feeling guilty for potentially ruining her marriage. Did I go too far in revealing her affair? Should I have just walked away instead of retaliating? I can't help but wonder if I'm the asshole here for how I handled things. Update 1. It's been about a month since the wedding fiasco, and things have only gotten messier. I've been laying low and avoiding social media, but the drama keeps finding its way to me. A few days after the incident, Tom reached out wanting to meet up. Against Arnold's advice, I agreed to grab coffee with him. Tom confirmed that Rachel's affair with his brother Mark had been going on for months. Apparently, he had suspicions, but didn't want to believe it. He thanked me for finally telling him the truth, even if the timing and delivery weren't ideal. During our conversation, Tom opened up about his complicated relationship with his brother Mark. They had always been competitive growing up, with Mark constantly trying to one-up Tom. When Tom first introduced Rachel to his family, he noticed how Mark seemed particularly charmed by her, but he brushed it off, never imagining his own brother would betray him like this. Tom has filed for an annulment and moved out of their apartment. Rachel is absolutely livid, blaming me for ruining her life over a harmless joke. She's been spreading all kinds of rumors about me to anyone who will listen. According to her, I'm a bitter, jealous person who has always been envious of her happiness. Some of our college friends have reached out to get my side of the story. A few were sympathetic once I explained everything, but others think I massively overreacted. My longtime friend Zoe even suggested that maybe Rachel's joke was her misguided way of trying to include me in her happiness. I couldn't believe she was defending such cruel behavior. The worst part is that Rachel's mom called my parents to berate them about my unforgivable actions. My mom has always adored Rachel, and now she's disappointed in me for stooping to her level. My dad is more understanding, but says I should apologize to keep the peace. It's frustrating that they're not being more supportive. This whole situation has brought up a lot of complicated feelings about my own parents. Growing up, they always pushed me to be the bigger person in conflicts, even when I was clearly wronged. I realize now how that instilled a habit of letting others walk all over me. It's a pattern I'm trying to break, but it's not easy. Arnold has been my rock through all of this. He reminded me of all the times Rachel has made snide comments or dismissed my feelings over the years, like when she told me to get over it already after our third failed IVF cycle, or how she joked that maybe the universe was trying to tell us something when we couldn't get pregnant. In hindsight, there were a lot of red flags I ignored. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection lately. While I still feel awful about how everything went down, I'm starting to realize that Rachel hasn't been a true friend to me in a long time. A real friend would never mock my deepest pain or humiliate me in front of others. I think I've outgrown this friendship, and it's time to let it go. Arnold and I have decided to take a break from all the drama. We're planning a weekend getaway to regroup and focus on each other. With everything that's happened, it's made me appreciate how lucky I am to have such a supportive partner by my side. I'm still struggling with guilt over revealing Rachel's affair so publicly, but I'm also angry that she somehow made herself the victim in all of this. I don't know if I'll ever get closure or an apology from her. For now, I'm trying to move forward and surround myself with people who truly care about me. Update 2. It's been about 3 months since the wedding incident, and I wanted to give one. Final update on the situation. A lot has changed, and I've done a lot of reflecting on everything that's happened. Rachel's life has pretty much imploded since the truth about her affair came out. Tom went through with the annulment, and she lost her job after showing up drunk and making a scene at work. She's been crashing on her parents' couch, and from what I've heard, she's not handling things well at all. I ran into Rachel's younger sister Megan at the grocery store last week. It was awkward at first, but she actually apologized for how her family had treated me. Megan revealed that Rachel has struggled with alcohol abuse for years, something she had always managed to hide from me. Apparently, the stress of the wedding and pregnancy had pushed her over the edge. This new information made me think back to all the times Rachel had blown off plans or shown up late seeming off. I had always attributed it to her being scatterbrained, but now I wonder if there was more going on beneath the surface. It doesn't excuse her behavior, but it does add another layer of complexity to the situation. Part of me feels guilty for the role I played in her downfall. But then I remember how cruelly she mocked my infertility struggles in front of everyone. A small, petty part of me even feels a bit of schadenfreude seeing her face consequences for once. I've officially cut ties with Rachel and blocked her on everything. She kept trying to reach out, sometimes to berate me, other times to beg for forgiveness. It was exhausting, and I realized I needed a clean break for my own mental health. Surprisingly, Tom and I have stayed in touch and even grabbed lunch recently. He harbors no ill will towards me, and says he's actually grateful I exposed the truth, even if the timing wasn't great. We've bonded a bit over being betrayed by Rachel, and he's been an unexpected source of support. Tom filled me in on some of the aftermath with his family. His parents are devastated by Mark's betrayal and have essentially cut him off. Mark tried to reach out to Tom to apologize, but Tom isn't ready to forgive him yet. It's sad to see a family torn apart like this. Arnold and I are doing well and focusing on our own journey. We've decided to take a break from fertility treatments for now and are looking into adoption. It feels good to take back control and explore other paths to parenthood. We've started attending support groups for couples dealing with infertility, and it's been really healing to connect with others who understand our struggles. I've also started volunteering at a local animal shelter to keep myself busy. It's been therapeutic to focus on caring for creatures in need instead of dwelling on my own problems. Arnold and I are even thinking about fostering some dogs once we're in a better place emotionally. I've been doing a lot of journaling to process my feelings about everything that's happened. Writing has always been cathartic for me, and it's helping me work through some of the complicated emotions surrounding the end of my friendship with Rachel. Looking back, I can see now that Rachel and I had been growing apart for years. I was holding on to the memory of our college friendship instead of acknowledging how toxic things had become. This whole ordeal was painful, but it opened my eyes to the fact that I deserve better friends. I'm slowly rebuilding my social circle with people who are genuinely supportive and kind. It's been refreshing to form new connections without all the baggage and history. I've reconnected with some old friends from high school, and we've been getting together for monthly book club meetings. Overall, I'm in a much better place now than I was 3 months ago. While I still have some regrets about how everything went down, I'm trying to forgive myself and move forward. This experience taught me a lot about setting boundaries and valuing myself. I'm cautiously optimistic about what the future holds.